represent that, but I also represent the world. When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all.
And ooh, yeah, I can never get tired of that sexy intro music anyways. I wonder who made that music.
I wonder.
They
did a good job.
Oh, that's such a nice thing. Such a nice thing that you said there. Hi, Tiff. Oh my gosh, it's Tiff on the live stream already, and we were just talking about you. Were your ears burning? Just a little bit? Tap it. We were just talking about you. And I don't remember what we were talking about. I think we were just saying how much we love you, how great you are, and how fascinating and wonderful a guest you were on the show last episode.
That was awesome.
That was episode 89, as I remember it. Am I right? I think we're right. Yeah. Hey, guys. It's Woke with Kids.
Woke with Kids.
It's Woke with Kids, fam, and
we're awake. Hopefully the kids are asleep. Probably not. At least not the little one.
That's good, baby. I like that. That was in context. It was situational. I like that. That's the bomb.
Sometimes I'm clever.
I would say like 9 out of 10 times. I would say cleverness is actually your default. That might be your default.
I didn't want to show off early in this episode, but you know.
Yeah. So I'm gonna end on a compliment with that description of my wife, who is the indubitable and induplicable. That's a word, induplicable. Your name is, honey?
Oh, I didn't.
I'm setting you. I
did not catch that.
I hear you. I'm saying.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
There you go. That's my beautiful wife, Melissa. My intelligent, clever wife, Melissa, and I am Nyaze Vincent, and we are Woke with Kids, and we are a podcast. That is the Facts Jack. Okay. And we are going to talk about some things that have been...
God, so many things to talk about. We're kind of late, and now we're here, and so we're going to do our best to get through some of this.
Yeah, it's a lot to talk about. It has been quite a bit. We're a couple days late, or as I like to call it, perfectly on CP time.
Life happens sometimes. I personally had an extremely busy week.
That's right. Week,
life took over and had me on a roller coaster.
Yep.
I think I'm still on it, actually.
No, you're definitely on the roller coaster for sure.
But there were some high highs and some lows.
You did some dope shit.
I did.
You did some dope shit. I have to say, I'm not easily impressed, and you did some dope shit. You were a participant in some high level acting type situational hijinks.
I got to participate in the ABC Discovers Workshop Week, where me and a group of actors from the Town Street Theater Company, which I have mentioned a couple times here on this show. Y'all might remember back last summer, I was a part of a staged reading of Octavia Butler's Kindred.
We loved Octavia.
With this group, and they do, short play festivals and all these other wonderful things. So I went in with that group, and we were auditioning for ABC casting execs. And it was way more than I realized. It was not even it was just fucking awesome.
It was legit. Wow.
I feel like I kind of leveled up in the acting thing, not just in the opportunity, but in what I had to do to be prepared and show up as my best self. But I did it. So I'm proud of myself. And I'm just grateful for all the people who cheered me on and supported me so that I was able to do all the things. And as the mother of two, it is more than an ocean. But, you got to show up for what you want to be a part of. So,
hell yeah.
There's really nothing to do but to fucking do it. So
nothing to it but to do it. I love that. Well, that is a hearty round of applause from me, your spouse. I am happy to... Go ahead.
Also, I just want to say one of the other things I did was help Array promote the release of their 18th acquisition. It's a documentary that is now available for streaming. It's called Jules Catch One. It is fucking phenomenal. It is about a woman, Jules Tice Williams, who's a black lesbian and ran a club and a health center and a vegan cafe and number of things here in South LA for over 40 years. And if you can imagine what the climate was for lower income black lesbians in the late 70s and 80s, then you can imagine what a challenge it would have been for her to accomplish being a club owner and sustaining that for so long, and then for her to basically double down on her life goals and do more things and become a licensed acupuncturist and run a clinic and run a cafe and help numerous amounts of people in so many ways that I can't even describe right now. You will be amazed. Please, please, please watch this amazing documentary. It's out of this world. I mean, just when you think you aren't doing enough, you'll be proved correct. Because if you're not fucking doing even a quarter of what Jewel did, you'd be right. And it is, at the very least, an inspiring story of someone who saw a need and basically filled it.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because that sounds like some good news in an otherwise really shitty week energy-wise. Like, in terms of the cosmic stage the simulation, as Kanye West puts it, that we're living in, which is some alt-right red pill language that he has recently co-opted. And not to bury the lead, but we're going to talk about a little Kanye West on this particular podcast. We must. We must.
I mean, I guess I have something to say, but I kind of don't, because it is extremely frustrating for me to give people like that attention and energy, mental energy, to sort through what they are saying. But, thankfully, a lot of other people on the internet have shared their opinions and facts to dispute some of the things he's saying. One of my faves, Black Twitter always comes through with the shade, the hashtag if slavery was a choice, which we will get into later.
We got it. We'll set it up.
Just to give you a little,
so we got it.
We got a teaser there.
We're definitely going to talk about some Kanye. I think we also, what else we got to talk about?
We didn't talk about Bill Cosby.
We definitely got to talk about Bill Cosby for sure.
There was a shootout at the Waffle House.
There's a Waffle House. Yes.
I mean, there was an update to the Starbucks discrimination deal.
Yes, there was. There was some closure to that.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that. We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll talk about
people,
that. Yeah.
Some more enlightened than I.
That's right.
I think it feels like closure for me. I struggle with always taking the high road.
Well, let's start with. That's good. That's like 4 things at least. I'm sure that is going to chew up a lot of time. Let's start with Kanye though. Okay. Let's start with Kanye.
Okay.
If you guys have not heard.
It started off so innocently.
Look, can I do full disclosure?
Okay.
I'm a Kanye fan.
We know.
You know. I don't know if the people know.
How do the people not know? Okay.
The people may not know, but I'm a huge Kanye fan. I mean, I like the egotism. I'm a Miles Davis fan. I'm a James Brown fan. I like the friend. Look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I like the idea of the Black Republican. I don't have a problem with the idea of the Black Republican. What I have a problem with is the idea of the racist sympathists, and so I'm just putting that out there, that I am not the guy who is judging Kanye West for saying tax me less on my millions. So that's not my beef with him.
I don't know that anyone really has that beef with him, but
no, I don't think anyone does. But I just want to say that I am extremely my point is being that I'm extremely sympathetic to Kanye West before I say what I have to say about him, because I think what I have to say about him is fairly harsh and fairly as close to canceled as I can get.
Oh, speaking of canceled, we got to talk about Nyaze.
Oh shit. It's been a fucking...
And the hashtag mute R. Kelly. I mean, that's all... To me, that's basically all
we just got to do a daily... We just got to always do a Me Too update. Basically on...
Well, yeah, because all your faves are trash. So there will perpetually be an update to that.
Absolutely.
To hashtag time's up.
1,000%.
times all the way motherfucking up.
I think
R.
that
Kelly.
I think that's righteous.
So
okay.
Let's get in. Let's get in.
So Kanye West basically is saying a lot of things. Amongst them is that he loves Trump. Amongst them is
we kind of knew that. He took that meeting with him.
But let me throw all the accusations out. So okay. The People versus Kanye West, which is the name of whatever this thing he put out that I have not listened to. But he loves Trump, and nobody can stop him from loving Trump.
I think he loves Trump for the same reason you love Kanye. He likes the egotism.
Of course.
He likes the what else did you say?
All of that. We're gonna. But he also shot bail to Candace Owens, who is a right-wing pundit on the Black Hotep Ankh side.
She's basically like a Stacey Dash who hasn't been in movies.
Yes, exactly. And a bit more articulate, I'd say. I give her that. She's more articulate. She's saying stupid shit, but she's articulate, and she has some semblance of a construct of a philosophy behind it, but it's an awful one. And he's also been in these pictures with these white guys, and they throwing like borderline white power symbols in it.
He's wearing the Make America Great hat.
He's wearing the MAGA hat.
These are all. I mean, this is all just superficial stuff. So let's get in. What has he said? What is he saying?
So what happened most recently was that he appeared at TMZ, which of course is where you want to get your real news out. Before that, he did a 2-hour-long interview with Charlemagne that I watched all 2 hours of because, as a fan, I was hoping that in somewhere in these 2 hours, he was going to say something that was going to make me go, now I understand how this is part of the strategic rollout, or now I understand how this is a bigger part of freedom or whatever. Okay, this is going to come there, right? No. In 2 hours, all I heard this dude do was I didn't hear nothing. I mean, I was like, okay, I don't want to get into that because it was too vacuous to even really describe. But then he's at TMZ and he says that slavery, 400 years. He
was like slavery. Okay, can we just play it real quick? Can we just
I can get the actual thing.
Yeah, because I have that ready to go as well. Let's just hear it from the horse's mouth. Jackass's mouth, the ass's mouth, the donkey's mouth. Look, donkey of the day.
When I dialed in TMZ, it was the first thing that comes up. It was literally the first thing that comes up. It's probably only on TMZ though. So let me keep. You can stretch a little bit, honey, while I find this. Oh, here it is, the full Kanye West episode.
I mean, it's not that long.
No, it isn't. Okay. Boom.
So, I mean, already he had been... First, he kind of started innocuously with his tweets saying... Okay, we got it.
It's coming out. Yeah. You guys hear it? Okay. We can't see. I don't want. This is the whole episode.
Oh,
we don't want the whole
one. Charles here. So we have a special show today.
You can tell. Are we
ready?
It can be skewed.
I see. You want to play it on that.
It's like the media and the liberals and the echo chamber and all that is having the most sore loss of all time.
Yes.
Like that, we're gonna just keep putting out. It's like torture porn. We're gonna keep showing you negative, when these are human beings. Even like with George Bush, people said don't apologize. I'm like, wait a second, I just saw George Bush pushing George Bush Sr. in a wheelchair, and he just lost his wife. Do you know how bad I would want to go to George Bush and say, I'm sorry for hurting you. I was an artist, I was hurting when I went up to the telethon. I said something in the moment, but when I look at you as a dad and a family member, I'm sorry for hurting you. Think about Obama.
No,
maybe 2 a week. Y'all had me scared of myself. Days later, I'm in a hospital. I was taking 2 pills a day at that time. When I left the hospital, how many pills you think I was given? 7. I went from taking 2 pills to taking 7. So the reason why I denounced, why I dropped those tweets and everything, because I was drugged the
Okay, here's the part that everyone...
This is what I'm saying.
When you scream and you don't talk, it doesn't look right.
Let me just say something.
Let me impart this upon you.
So many people and not give... I think he might want to fight me, but I want to give him a hug.
Okay, but like...
What's happening
Let's finish.
But not too long.
I'm trying to find a part where...
Can we just play the clip?
And start...
I know you want.
Can you send it to me?
To see it.
Yeah.
It's on my Instagram. I don't know how to send that.
Right.
Just listen to this, y'all.
Okay, just listen. I don't. Okay, go ahead.
That I'm feeling. Do you feel that I'm being free and I'm thinking free?
I actually don't think you're thinking anything.
Van Lathan, a producer,
right now is actually the
responded.
thought. And the reason why I feel like that is because Kanye, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But there is fact and real world, real life.
This is after this fool talking about slavery was a choice.
That you just said. And while you are making music and being an artist and living the life that you've earned by being a genius, the rest of us in society
Still kissing
have
that
to
ass.
deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice. Frankly, I'm disappointed. I'm appalled. And brother, I am unbelievably hurt by the fact that you have morphed into something, to me, that's not real. Do you feel that I'm feeling?
Should we? I mean, do we even need to address the fact that he was on these drugs because he had liposuction? I mean, is that a thing that we need to address?
I think there's a petty part of me that wants to address it, but I think that it's
really like a non-issue.
It's just second. It's so tertiary symptomatic.
Okay. Right. It's not important.
Okay. Yeah. It's par for the course with whatever's going on.
Okay. So I mean, basically. Kanye and granted, I have not watched one interview, I have not followed these tweets, but the gist that I get is that he applauds people like Candace Owen for basically poking holes in the Democratic / liberal / progressive platform and the tactic of almost solely attacking Donald Trump himself and somehow trying to conflate.
I think you may be granting him a lot
the Republican Party for the plight.
I think you may be giving a lot of
black
credit.
people and people of color in this country. And okay,
only reason I'm saying that is because a big part of the what the fuck is going on of this is that he hasn't been specific about any of the things that he's endorsing. He hasn't really said. He tweeted that I like the way that Candace Owens thinks, and then we saw a picture of him with her.
I mean, this is the thing that I don't think he's understanding, that everyone is basically beating their head against the wall and trying to share with him. The opinion that he has is only that of a privileged person, and prior to being a billionaire, marrying these white people, living in this beige home, deciding you want to be a fashion designer, basically being a part of that 1% that has that freedom to move about and do basically whatever the fuck you want to do without actually having to deal with the consequences of everyday life the way that most people do. And he somehow seems to be espousing that is available to all people, all oppressed people, specifically black people, if they change their thinking, which is seemingly, and I haven't really watched none of her shit, the bullshit that Stacey Dash and Candace Owen and people of that ilk are also saying. And none of these people seem to account for the legacy and generational trauma inflicted upon the entire black population because of the history of slavery here in America, United States of America.
I think, yes. And first of all, what we're doing now is we're examining the story at Kanye as complicit capitalists,
and by not criticizing, by not having a more critical thought process and or expression of the real nuance of what Candace Owen or a Donald Trump might be suggesting is an opportunity for oppressed people to navigate themselves out of oppression, but without any of the discernment to also acknowledge the obstacles to that. And I think specifically what has got me up in arms, and maybe a lot of other people, by giving this blanket support to Trump, you implicitly, or you are complicit in his demonization of Mexicans, of Muslims, of disabled people, of women. I mean, if you say you're aligned with this man, then even not just the party, everything that this man has said and done, which is despicable if you have any type of moral compass, how and why would Kanye align himself with that? And has anyone posed the question that, I guess, like, if you didn't have all this money, would you really think that? Like, isn't it the money and the access and the privilege that has somehow granted you, or has laid the path for you to, in his mind, have this enlightened, free thought?
It is.
Because the shit ain't free.
It is. It is.
It costs billions of dollars. It costs millions of dollars to be able to think, quote unquote, this freely.
If we're examining him as a complicit capitalist, in which I think is a viable thread of critique.
Like,
I think,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. If we are examining him as a complicit capitalist, which is a viable thread of critique, I think essentially what this stance is, and as many people have taken who have achieved great wealth coming from the bottom, and it's not a racial thing. It is a class thing. It is specifically a class thing, and it comes from the phenomena of survivor's guilt. I think is a huge part of it. I think Kanye West comes from a lineage of revolutionaries and social activists, and he's found himself whether wittingly or unwittingly now in the position essentially of the thing that he fought against. And every artist that attains his stature, or every person who attains his stature, has to confront this. You know, this is the adage from the Batman, which is, you know, every hero either dies or lives long enough to see himself become the villain. And what you want to see is a Jay-Z response, which is embracing and grappling with the fact that, with his role as a villain, and going like, I cheated, I did wrong shit, I sold drugs, it was wrong, it wasn't a good thing to do, but yet I'm still human and worthy of redemption. Whereas Kanye is now making this screeching and totally it doesn't make any sense in terms of strategic value or endearing him to his friend, his family, or his core audience. He's making this weird veering motion towards shitting essentially on the idea of redemption, on the idea of the idea that his background could be a source of strength. He seems to be making a very, he's basically saying the argument, the reason the argument is so seductive is because if the argument is that you're not trying hard enough, or you don't believe in yourself, or you're a victim of your own mentality, and if you could just change your mentality, it's just totally up to you, just turn the switch on, then I can feel comfortable with my gajillions and the security that I earned these on my own. I did this myself, and so I deserve it. And the reason you don't have it, and the reason that you're getting shot in Chicago or Newport News or Los Angeles or New York, and you're all fucked up in the game, is because you have a victim mentality, because you put yourself in a prison. I think that's the escape of it, the escapism of this mentality.
I'm a bit speechless and have no clever responses to this, because no one is saying, and no one has said, being a Republican is evil. You know, until you align yourself with policies that continue to oppress people, when you refuse to account for history, when you refuse to account for the systemic, institutionalized, racist policies.
Do you think he knows any of that?
Everything.
I wonder. I mean, like, seriously, do you think he's even aware?
I think at one time he had all the facts. I think that his quote-unquote free thought has mutated, has become so poisoned that he has come up with this new narrative of how he got to where he was. Somehow his ancestors survived through something other than sheer will and determination, and he owes them nothing.
Right.
Somehow, all oppressed people somehow just the survival of black people through slavery and the most the slavery that was perpetuated against black bodies and families and communities here in America is somehow he's so far removed from it that he can't even pay any respect to it. And I think that is where people are most, at least myself, I think most disappointed. No one's saying you should have a victim mentality. No one is saying you can't have sympathy for George Bush or George Bush Sr. No one's saying any of these things. Well, but one doesn't exclude that you can also not criticize the actions and the policies that these people support that actively and ongoingly oppress people. And I think that in general, the inability for people to appreciate someone's contributions or characteristics in one area and also hold them accountable to what they believe to be missteps or outright failures in character or leadership or basic human decency is where society as a whole is stuck right now. And I think that is exemplified by the response to Bill Cosby, the response to Nyaze, the response to R. Kelly. I mean, the list goes on and fucking on.
Can I bum a cig off?
Yeah.
I think I hate to get on Nietzschean because a lot of people don't really dig Nietzsche. I dig Nietzsche.
He also had issues.
Don't they all? But one of the things about Nietzsche which is helpful is that it's helpful to understand that there, at least I won't say that this is reality, but it is a way of thinking about reality, that there are different moralities for different situations, and we experience it in daily life, but we like to believe when we moralize and when we discuss others that there's some common morality that we all share, but it's not true.
Oh God, no!
It's not true at all. It's not true at all. Police officers that shoot black boys out in the field don't feel bad. Are not required to feel bad. They don't have to go home and sleep restless nights.
Or if they used to, because it was a human life, they are trained to no longer.
Well, what I'm saying, I don't think they ever did, and if they ever learned to, then I think that's a great thing. But I don't think that our society's ever required that. Or for that matter, if you're a crack dealer who's feeding your family in a projects or whatever, you're not necessarily obligated to feel bad about the situation that you've been forced into because you can't get a job at Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying? Or because you can't feed a family on $8.75 or whatever the fuck minimum wage is right now, wherever you happen to be. My point only being that every group of people, every system of life has its own morality and its own ethics and its own call. And Kanye, to your earlier point, has simply is now a rich motherfucker. The only thing about the Charlamagne interview that really resonated with me as a real thing was every time Charlamagne would be like, but that's some rich nigga shit, Ye. You know what I'm saying? And Ye would smile and laugh and whatever, and it was like, ha, ha, ha. But it was like, that's really the only thing that resonated because, he can only relate now to this situation in life. He's married to this fake-ass semi-white woman, you know what I mean, who I love, Kim Kardashian. Guys, you gotta understand, I'm an artist. So when I refer to this artifice, sometimes it is with a little bit of, cynical fucking pejorative, but for the most part, I eat it up. I think it's amazing. I think we live in amazing times where people have made of themselves sculptures and complete performance art. It's fucking fascinating, but it's also debilitating in some senses because we don't know anymore when somebody is suffering from a mental breakdown or whether they're trying to deliver us a strategic rollout. And the whole reason I kept saying complicit capitalist with Kanye West is because that's one way to view him. But the other way to view him, and I admit I only sympathize with him because he is a black man If he was a white dude saying this shit, I would be like, oh, fuck this motherfucker. Like, if Justin Timberlake was saying this kind of stuff, this nigga would, you know what I'm saying? He would be canceled. It would be over. There would be no conversation. It would be like, this motherfucker's
JT's already canceled, but
Truth,
okay.
Truth, 1,000% on the strength of Janet. But I'm saying, like, if any white dude, no matter how beloved, says some shit like this, we wouldn't have a conversation. But because he is black and because he's a black man, and for some reason we have a very soft spot in our heart in the black community for black men in particular, and we always go to every fucking length to empathize and to reach out to them.
I have to interject and say we have a soft spot for black artists, black men who are artists. We don't have a soft spot for just any old black dude.
Well, I mean the black community though. I mean specifically in response and in relationship to how we come out for black women or black lesbians or black trans people. I'm just saying, like, for some reason the black community has a fetish for black male bodies. Like when black men are assaulted, somehow we're just like super, super up in arms about that shit. Anyways.
Let me see if I can find this. Go ahead.
So, I just feel like the thing we gotta understand with this Kanye West thing is really just that it is us watching somebody essentially. I don't remember somebody talking about Kanye West is up in the spaceship. I think it was on Very Smart Brothers. But like, he is taken off in that spaceship now, and he is looking for justifications for why he doesn't have to give a fuck anymore because it is painful. And the thing is, it may legitimately be painful because of reasons exacerbated because he is African American, because he is also a black man. And I want to relate to that, and I want to have empathy for that, right? But there's a limit, I feel, to that empathy that was expressed most eloquently by the brother we listened to at TMZ, because there are real consequences to this shit that he's saying. I'm thinking, like, do I want my child to absorb that perspective? You know, he's making fallacious fucking Harriet Tubman quotes. This quote you might have heard.
Go ahead.
The quote you might have heard that I could have saved a million more if they'd have known they were slaves or some shit.
Oh, and how he would have been in that Turner at that time.
Yeah.
And
well, the funny thing about that quote is that you've heard that quote a million times. It's false. It's fake. Harriet Tubman never said that shit. Because the fact is, everyone knew they were goddamn slaves. Every slave in North America, in South America, who was getting their ass
in the
whipped.
Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. In fucking, wherever else they were fucking doing
in
this
North
shit.
Africa,
Thank you. All around the world. Throughout the diaspora, wherever we are, every fucking slave and every fucking colonized people knew they were subjugated, knew that their foot was under a boot.
And they knew that it was because of their skin color.
God damn it, it wasn't a choice. And there was no choice in that. There's a whole book called Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is specifically by this very smart white guy to explain why none of this shit, the reasons that we are where we are choices. They are the result of tectonic shit built into the planet and the environment.
Can we just have a moment of levity where we then go to the hashtag if slavery was a choice?
Please, by all means.
So, I mean, you know, Black Twitter really does save my sanity on a regular basis, because after he made that egregious comment, the Twitter sphere exploded with memes of what Black people might have done or said if slavery was a choice. For example, Jason Gardner said, example, Massa said, I didn't tell you to stop picking that cotton, boy. And the slave would say, I already clocked out. This is your problem now. Or my favorite, they took a photo of, what's his name? Steve. What's his name? The director of 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, shit.
I can't remember his last name. I'm terrible right now.
God bless you, brother.
But the director, his name is Steve, right? Am I sure?
I'm just
anyway, he's got his laptop in the cotton field that they're using as the set for 12 Years a Slave, and Lupita is looking on at the screen. And one of the memes says, for example, okay, it says here on Career Builder that Massa Thomas got better slave care. As if a slave could just get to their laptop real quick and be like, you know what? I don't really like living on this plantation. The other Massa got better slave care. I am going to send my resume and put in for a transfer.
The Thank God for black. Thank God for black
Twitter. Come in late. If the time was supposed to be 6 a.m., we would just show up at 11 like, hey. Or if slavery was a choice, they might say, are you coming to the field to pick cotton? And there was a lovely meme of a woman on her phone with her nails as fabulous as I don't know what, talking about, who all there? Who all there? That was my favorite.
Who coming?
Who all there?
Yeah.
You know,
ain't nobody gonna be the first one there. Hell no.
So many things and ways. Imagine if we could just opt out. All you had to do to not be involved in slavery was to text 1863. 1863. That was a hilarious one. I mean, if you for some reason have been under a rock, please go to Twitter, look up the hashtag if slavery was a choice, and get your laugh on.
Yeah.
Because it truly exemplifies the absurdity of the comment.
Well, and it's also reassuring, man, that it's reassuring that the collective unconsciousness of the black community just lashed out, because what I'm afraid of, honestly, is that, I don't know if I'm afraid of it. I don't know what to be afraid of. You see, because the thing is, I don't know Kanye West. This nigga is not my friend. I've never met him. He has never come over to the crib. We've never broke bread. This shit is an illusion. This is the thing I wanted to say about Kanye West, actually, more than anything, is that, here's the thing, people, is that divinity is real. Like, the spark of inspiration, the spark of truth is a real thing, and occasionally human beings, mortals, can wear the clothing of divinity. We can wear the clothing of it, and we can participate in it through ritual, and that ritual is fascinating. It's the ritual of story. It's the ritual of recognizing these patterns which are longer and bigger than ourselves, right? And we can lose ourselves in those things, and they can also be perverted. They can be transformed into just banal entertainment, like with all these superhero flicks and shit. I thought I would just dream to live to an age where every time you go to the movies, there's a fucking superhero or something, or some nerd shit, which is exactly what I was into growing up. But it turns out that you can overdo the shit. I'm to the point now where I'm like, God damn, can y'all just make a motherfucking dramata or something? Can I get something on a bit, a Serpico? Can I get something to, I'm tired of superheroes and types and shit, and I love superheroes, okay? But my point being, though, is that Kanye West and celebrity and that whole cult of that shit is that we start to confuse and conflate the individual human being who is put on the clothing of that divinity, the clothing of that God, the clothing of that ancestor, the clothing of that heroic stance, and we start to confuse those beings, like Bill Cosby, America's dad. That nigga's not your father. He was never your dad.
And that was a character.
Word.
Like, that was a job he got paid. Somebody else
Mad
wrote
money.
the words.
A lot of money.
Even if he produced it, somebody else wrote the story arc of that character and wrote the stories of what he did and didn't do, what he said and what he didn't say.
That's all we saying, yo. That's all we saying. So I'm just saying, like, you got to understand that Kanye, the problem with Kanye, the reason I think that he's breaking down right now is because he cannot recognize the difference between himself, the human being, the man, the person, and the divinity that he wants to inhabit him. He's confused, and I'm like, I don't know whether that's mental illness or whether that's hubris, because he seems to be functioning at a pretty high level. If that's fucking mental illness, then goddamn, give me some. You dig what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not buying into this 100% thing that he's just having a mental breakdown and shit. He's on medicine. He's surrounded by people who care about him and whose future is invested in theirs. I'm not worried about people abandoning him or not being there to support Kanye. I can drive down to fucking Skid Row in LA and see these motherfuckers living in tents and shit, or just drive down a bike path in Playa Vista in nice ass West Side, and they're living on the side of the goddamn bike path because they can't live anywhere else. And it's like, those people, I mean, I'm saying, these are people with actual problems. I'm not concerned with Kanye West. He's not in my prayers. You know what I'm saying? I'm not praying for this nigga. This nigga has got enough going for him. God loves him. What I'm concerned with is that people who do not understand the difference between Kanye West, the dumbass motherfucker who can't bother himself to open a book, and the supernatural being that they have invented in their minds that Kanye West represents to them. You know what I'm saying? This is what concerns me.
Well, this is what should concern all of us, because recently it's shown over and over the people who continually support Bill Cosby.
They are still out here. He is guilt. Y'all.
He admitted it.
Y'all, he said
he gave
women
admitted
Quaaludes.
that he gave these women drugs.
He said, I enter into the zone of
have sex with
He said, I enter into the zone of permission and not permission. He said that. His words. I do that.
Yeah, that's what really...
He doesn't give a fuck about your feelings, guys. Camille.
I mean, hey, I'm not here. I mean, that, whatever. She makes...
Is she not complicit? I'm just saying. I'm just saying that she got to be somehow complicit in this shit. She can't be standing by this motherfucker.
I mean,
and be
not
scot-free.
that it makes sense for me. I would not make that choice, but that's her man, and so she's decided to stand by him. That's her choice, and that she has to sleep with that.
Yeah, it's a hell of a choice
at night.
It is a hell of a choice.
What concerns me is the amount of people, specifically the amount of black men who feel this is a big conspiracy. Everyone wants to talk about Harvey Weinstein and all these other people and when are they going to get taken down. And it's like, well, the Bill Cosby thing been going on for decades.
Y'all, since the 70s, 60s.
So it's like, that's really, you can't even compare the two because the Weinstein shit just came out less than a year ago. We haven't even gone to trial yet. We have, you know what I mean?
They're still compiling.
Yes, they are going to get him. Of course they're going to get him.
His company just got sold, y'all. He don't have no company no more. I mean, things are happening. It's not just like, it's not...
And the idea that black men should get off for crimes or morally repulsive behavior just because white men do is a
disgusting.
Flawed stand.
That's not
to take.
To my
and
Hotep
this is
brothers.
part of the problem with, I think, a lot of black men and white women. They are closest in proximity to the privilege and the freedom that white men are afforded in this country. So it is more difficult for them to distance themselves and to truly, I think have a clear view when these people need to be held accountable for their crimes, because everybody wants a piece of that money. Everybody wants a piece of that power.
Yes, power, proximity.
Black women aren't capable for none of these fools because we are not getting none of that power. No way, no kind of way. We're not even close. So it is not difficult for us to say, no, that motherfucker's wrong.
Pretty much. I don't understand the defense of Cosby anymore. To believe in that conspiracy, guys, you gotta ignore a whole lot of moral fucking boundaries and
I always go back to, if it were your daughter or your mother or your sister, someone close to you that you cared about, would you still defend them?
Crazy
to the end.
Speaking of peeing on your mothers and daughters, R. Kelly is finally in the crosshairs.
Women of color, as part of the Time's Up movement, are launching a official, I guess, campaign, so to speak.
Yes,
that his label should drop him. His publicists and lawyers some of his team have already dropped him. And he has an event, a concert coming up. They are lobbying for the Greensboro, whatever, who's sponsoring the event, to drop him. And again, it is not just accusations that have not been proven. What about the actual crime, the conviction of child pornography? What about the fact that he did marry an underage woman? What about the fact that he did pee on this young girl? What about the fact that he has stated his own words, in his lyrics of his songs, that he basically targets underage girls, that he is there to convince you of things, that we're not making this up.
No,
it's not made up.
Not even close.
There are receipts. Specifically with R. Kelly, there's so many receipts. There's decades of receipts. And there is no song, no beat, no nothing good enough to, again, I think, make me feel like these victims don't matter. This man, this music is so invaluable to my life, to the world, that these actual women's lives don't matter enough.
So, I love the internet, man. You could just so easily participate now in, like being a part of the change. So, like, if you feel like voicing your outrage and joining this, get down with some hashtag mute R. Kelly, yo. Mute this mug. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to listen to R. Kelly. There's plenty of good music out there. Listen to some PJ Morton, man.
Women have been canceling or attempting to get the larger society to cancel R. Kelly, again, for decades. On college campuses, there have been rallies and protests to base and have his concerts pulled. This has been going on for so long. Before we found out about the sex cult or whatever and the parents came out, we have already had information and facts that would say this needs to be a criminal investigation. If there had been a criminal investigation and somehow he was found innocent, maybe some people might have a point. But they're almost acting like we shouldn't even investigate. What? There's clear evidence of wrongdoing, so shouldn't we investigate? At the very least. And again, it just goes back to the fact that black women and their own testimony of what they experienced is not valued. It's not valuable against what this man says. Speaking
of black women, and not to segue too hard, but I think we have. Yeah, I just want to jump in there. Have you heard this shit about Issa Rae?
Yeah.
Is this a real outrage? Is this a real thing going on?
I don't think she's getting canceled. I didn't read the book. In the book, apparently she said that, black men are not really coming and looking out for black women. And also women as a whole are not looking out for successful Asian men. There have been studies done that black women and Asian men are considered the least attractive humans on the planet and have the least amount of people who would want to date them. So she proposes in her book that those two groups should get together. Now, what's ridiculous about everyone coming for her is that, is always a bit ridiculous. This book came out like 3 years ago. And again, everyone is jumping on with their opinion without any context. And she's not saying to the exclusion of black men or any other men. She's not saying to the exclusion of any other colors. She is just pointing out statistically, this is what science is telling us when studies have been done, that these two groups are considered the least attractive. And so it is her opinion, maybe sarcastically so. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't read the book. And she proposes that they should date. So again, what are we upset about?
I'm sure that's sarcastic. I'm if not sarcastic, I'm sure that's satire and that's tongue in cheek. And I don't have a problem with that. I think a bunch of mixed Asian black babies sounds awesome to me.
And the idea, and then again, it's like, okay, so the victim mentality isn't okay in another instance, but now black men feel like they're the victim of some sort of shaming, denigrating comment in a book from 3 years ago. But it's like, aren't you playing the victim card right now?
I see. Okay.
I just thought of that, but it's like you can't have it both ways.
No. That's really interesting. It is always. It does seem to be black men are really fragile. It's an unfortunate Venn diagram. You know what I mean? Like you see all this sort of victim mentality amongst white men, which is really, really pathological and scary to see. Trump. His whole presidency is based on y'all want me to fail and all this shit. But it's like, yeah, we want you to fail because you want to do evil shit, not because we inherently dislike the office of the president. That's not how we get down, generally speaking. And it is interesting. It's just funny to hear. Because I look out in terms of rich black men. It do seem like these motherfuckers be marrying white women a whole lot. It doesn't seem like when they get money that they necessarily or very light skinned or very light skinned.
Proximity to power will fuck with your mind.
Interesting.
That it's just that's the only way I can see it.
That is very, and you know what?
And I mean, and just like we see white people right now who are, adamant that the country's going to shit and, all lives matter and all the things. It's the same thing. It's this desperate grab to hold on to the institutionalized power based on institutionalized and systemic racism and oppression of people of color and women that is fueling so much of the energy. So...
Well, it interests me because a couple things came out. Serena Williams came out and she said, I never thought I would have married a white guy. And it just got me thinking about interracial relationships in general and the idea of what do we, do we owe the black community marrying a black person? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that something, Jewish people tend to try to marry Jewish people, I guess. White people definitely seem to try to marry white people on average. Are black people, is that what we're supposed to do? Because the reason it was interesting to me, because with Kanye West in particular, I feel like part of what his problem is that he wants a good thing. He wants this utopian kind of we're all just people, the human race, and we're all just fighting the same fucking battle. And it's that's what niggas have been saying for 400 years. We've definitely all been saying that we're all one race, but there are obstacles to us all seeing each other as one people, and is the problem just that we're not fucking each other enough? I mean, I'm saying, is it just not if we mix into, if we all just blend into some Brazilian beautiful beige funk? I mean, is that just not the solution? I don't know.
Personally, I don't believe that humanity will be saved by this attempt at cultural preservation solely by procreating with someone from your own race. And I also don't believe that humanity will be saved by intermixing of the races. I think that's just such a naive way to look at it.
I hear that. I hear you.
Individual human beings are so complicated. We have different values. We have different environments that we grew up in. We have different beliefs. And so there is no one size fits all. There's no one rule that is going to save us other than, I think, love, which is so broad that it has to have room.
Because that's what Ye says.
It has to have room, but the love can't come at the expense of someone else's love and livelihood.
See, that's why I don't say love, because I think love is so easily confused with bliss in our culture. Love, the idea of just I feel good and I want everyone else to feel good, which is not necessarily the type of active agape, engaged love that I'm talking about. So whenever I think about it, I always want to say service. Because unless you're willing to serve someone else, actually willing to put someone else's needs, even if albeit temporarily, ahead of your own, then what really is the value of the love?
I think if we could get to a point where everyone was like, okay, your needs are as important as mine.
As important.
If we can at least get there.
As important.
We aren't even there. Other people's needs, and at this point, at least, especially in the United States and Western countries, look at Europe, et cetera, the needs of certain races are not considered equal to the needs of others. And so if we can even just get to basic needs, that the basics of livelihood and well-being being equal across the board, that would be a jumping off point.
Right on.
If we were at that point, then people who are like, I only marry black people, or I only date women, or I only date people under 5'8", or what the fuck ever, then we could say it's a preference. Until everyone has this jumping off point of we all agree that well-being and equity is the most important thing for all people, no matter what they look like.
Universal human dignity.
Then and to me, that's what love is. So until we get there, we really aren't all speaking the same language.
I hear that. Well, one other story came up that sort of illustrated that was New York Times. There was a teenager, Keziah Daum, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. She wore a Chinese-style dress to her high school prom in Utah, and it set off an uproar. A guy named Jeremy Lamb responded hotly in a post.
The basketball player? Or is that Lim?
Jeremy Lamb is
that
not
racist
a basketball player.
to not know?
I don't think it's racist. I think if the name is Jeremy Lamb, that's pretty fucking close. This is Jeremy Lamb. But he responded to a post that was retweeted 42,000 times. My culture is not your prom dress. I'm proud of my culture for it simply to be subject to American consumerism and cater to a white audience is parallel to colonial ideology. Okay? Which is some shit I can kind of, relate to. But, and then a bunch of other Asian Americans, or people who describe themselves, as Fox mentions, as Asian Americans, also jumped on that, and they piled on. Okay, here's the funny part. Cut to actual China, and people were like, I'm very proud to have our culture recognized by people in other countries, or something like, it's ridiculous to criticize this as cultural appropriation, says Zhao Jun in Hong Kong. I'm pronouncing it all wrong. I have no idea.
You are.
I'm not,
I know,
but I'm trying.
Hard for me too.
I'm trying. From the perspective of a Chinese person, if a foreign woman wears a kipao and thinks she looks pretty, then why shouldn't she wear it? The point that this illustrated to me was that people in America who are Asian Americans, were like, fuck that shit, cultural appropriation, getting really mad at outrage. Actual Asian people living in Asian countries were like, in China specifically, where this form of dress comes from, we're like, this is totally cool. Why would we not want other people to adopt our culture? Like, there are Inuit cultures, there are Eskimos right now, right? Whose language is about to die out. People in the Amazon, tribes in the Amazon, who are about to fucking be extinguished forever and will never know what their languages and their stories and their songs sound like. Because no one wanted to fucking copy them. Because no one cared about what they sounded like, or what they looked like, or what they did. Are we tripping in America? This made me think maybe in America we might be tripping a little bit.
I say this, we are tripping in America, because America is tripping. But this is what I mean. America's fucking racist. The bones, the blood, the marrow is racist. So it is impossible at this point in time, in my opinion, for any white person to take on the clothing, the cultural traditions of a person of color and it not be viewed as cultural appropriation, because as for the most part, America is not an equitable place. We still treat and have in American history treated Chinese people as less than. We have demonized them for their culture. We just want the food. We just want the colors. We just want to keep you in this 6-block radius for your culture to thrive. So that's why it's a problem, and that's why it's viewed as a problem here in America as opposed to in China.
Right.
That's why outside of Jamaica, people can say, yes, love Bob Marley and reggae music, because that is their culture that that they love and is there, and they view it as being appreciated. But here in America, because there has never been any type of formal official statement of reconciliation or reparations to say, you know what, we have fucked up in terms of how we have viewed people of color, how we have appropriated the culture for our own capitalist gains and entertainment and enjoyment, without also allowing the actual people who have created this culture to partake in the benefits of this system.
Yep.
So it doesn't happen. We can't put on Native American garb. We shouldn't say things like, this is my spirit animal, because Native American people and women are still being killed and raped at 10 times the rate of other people in this country, because they still live on reservations, because we're still we stole the fucking land.
Wait,
and we're trying to steal it back.
Not all of the we's. Can black people say it?
I don't think so.
Okay. That's
personally, because we live here in America. Like, I think it is very difficult for people, Americans born here, as myself, to somehow separate ourselves from what the history of this country is. And for every privilege and benefit that an individual get, it is never removed from the system of oppression that has allowed you to gain that. And I just think what is the frustrating and angers people is that there doesn't seem to be much discourse or acknowledgement of that. You know, I think it's silly to expect everyone to be that mindful or that woke. I don't expect this teenage girl to somehow put more than prom on her post. But I think if she even attempted to acknowledge that it was a little bit more, there was more depth to the fact that she, as a white American girl, likes this outfit that has very significant cultural meaning. Or maybe not. Maybe it's like a trashy ass dress in China. But that's the point.
Well,
she doesn't fucking know.
That's the interesting thing is that
she doesn't even fucking know.
The New York Times does go into it. The interesting thing is that the funny thing is that even in China, this particular form of dress came from a minority in China that was conquered. The Mongolians who were conquered by the Han, and the Han adopted this form of dress, and so very rich ladies would wear it, but it was a baggy sort of dress. But then during the 20s, after World War II and after the Chinese were colonized, essentially, then they redesigned it to be more slinky, to this now form-fitting kind of sexy kind of westernized dress that we associated with. So the actual dress is actually the product of Chinese and Western influence to create this thing that this white woman is now wearing. But, you're agreed. She doesn't know where the history of this comes from.
I think that's the point, that she's just like, oh, I like this dress, I'm going to wear it. And it's that lack of mindfulness that permeates American society that is part of the problem. And, in the current climate, I think there are a lot of voices who are saying, you can't do that. It's been wrong the whole time, and now with the internet and everything, we are calling it out. And not just that. I think you're right. But there's so much resistance to it as well. I think it's connected. I don't want to get on too much of a tangent with this because this could be a whole other podcast. But I think that's related to all the fact that we don't really teach anymore, and that we don't teach history in particular, and that history. Or we teach a totally different version of history,
which is not history. Exactly. We're not teaching. So like Texas and various southern states who are issuing these history books, which are rewriting the sort of the language of slavery, the language of the colonization of Native Americans, and the history of colonization in general, and then also the fact that we're not paying our teachers enough, and they are striking at record numbers now. They are walking out of classrooms because they are tired of buying fucking crayons and markers and school supplies for their students. And I think that I just want to mention that. we don't have enough time to get into that because it is a thing in and of itself. But I think it is closely related, the fact that we're not educating Americans about cultures, about what America is. When I was a kid, I got an education on the version of America I got sold was that we were a melting pot, and that we wanted immigrants to come here so that we can all blend into a new form of humanity that had never been seen before on the planet. And somehow that shit has been totally flipped, like in wherever the fuck else people are living, because I'm in California and the shit is still mad liberal here. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but the vision of America has changed.
But also, American history does not start there. American history does not start with, hey, we came here, we started this country, and now we're a melting pot. And that is the problem.
It's true.
It didn't come out of nowhere. It came at a cost to people, to their culture, their lives.
But like, we've been to Jamestown, and like in Virginia, we know about Native Americans. Like, everything is named after a goddamn Powhatan or, Iroquois, somebody. Everything is named after Native Americans. We understand. We reckon with the history of it. What I'm saying is, like, what I feel like now, though, it seems like our culture has become. We've got all this information. I know this is a banal thing to say. In fact, this is not new shit. But we have all this information, and we are yet a shallower people. We have
because it's the pretense. It is so absurdly surface, in my opinion.
And that's why we can have a Kanye West, because his fucking all he needs is an inch deep of information for him to come up with a whole worldview.
Know anything.
It's a whole worldview based on fucking dick all. He doesn't know anything.
He doesn't really have to know anything. He doesn't have to put any critical thought, and he has a platform. He has an incredible platform, and that's why people are upset and holding him accountable. That's why people are upset with Trump. When Trump was just rich, we didn't like him, but it was like, well, that's just Trump. But now he is the leader of the free world.
Look, when Schwarzenegger was just the Terminator, it was amusing. When that motherfucker became the governor, for a couple of years. Do you remember that when the Terminator
Of course
was
they
the
do,
governor?
but even then, he didn't use that platform to
crazy.
then espouse his individual bullshit values.
He was actually a pretty decent... He was actually
I
strangely
mean, he was
decent.
no Jerry Brown.
No, he was no Jerry Brown, but he was actually a strangely decent governor.
And even then, Jerry Brown could be racist as fuck. Okay,
Jerry Brown is
but
racist.
when he's in office, you know what he said? I'm gonna save this motherfucking money.
That's true.
I'm gonna get that rainy day fund up. We need to put some more money in school.
He's the Bernie Sanders we really need. You know what I'm saying? We need some y'all think y'all want Bernie Sanders, but y'all want is Jerry Brown.
Refuse to separate the man from the office, from the position, from the power. Because we are obsessed and we want it, and that is the ethos of America. We all want to believe that manifest destiny has guided our lives to this point, and so we deserve all the things, no matter what the cost. And that is the foundation of America, and that's why it oftentimes feels like an uphill battle, because who doesn't want to buy into that?
Woo! Lord have mercy. Listen, I want to do a palate cleanser because I want to give the first ever Woke with Kids Parent of the Week award, okay? Because this shit here, guys, this woman right here is my fucking hero because this is the hardest shit ever, okay?
Really?
This is the hardest shit ever, in my opinion.
This is your hero?
Yo!
Is this your king? This is your queen?
This is my queen. If you come with a better one next week, you got it. It's you 100%
I'm just saying, I might not call the cops on Langston.
If Langston is never going to fucking do
That's
this
not
shit.
the point. That's what she
He
thought.
is never
That's what
going
she thought.
Robbing
She said she'll go back. Let's tell you what the fuck we're talking about, people. Sorry.
Let me play you this shit, okay?
The mother of a man who was seen on surveillance video robbing 3 people is speaking out tonight against her son's bad choices.
I am sorry that your visit to Memphis, Tennessee had to be like that because of my disobedient, disrespectful child.
That is one mad mama. Now, police say that her son was shot at by one of the victims in the Whitehaven area. This robbery. Fox 13's Jeremy Pierre's live tonight in South Memphis. And Jeremy, after she saw the surveillance video on Fox 13, she saw her son and then she turned him into police.
Yeah, Dariante Perry faced a judge for the first time after his mother turned him into police for the robbery and shootout in Whitehaven Sunday afternoon. Tonight, she told me she wanted to apologize to the victims for her son's violence.
I'm not mad at her apologizing.
Adrian Perry says she had no choice
I like
but
this.
to turn her
this
son, Dariante Perry into police
this man on the scene too.
This surveillance video.
I don't have enough information.
On Tuesday.
I don't have enough information.
I love him.
Listen.
That's what you call tough love. Something a lot of more parents need to start
A
doing.
lot of more.
Dariante is responsible for robbing 3 people at a Whitehaven home Sunday afternoon.
I love her.
2 of the victims were visiting from
I'm
Florida.
not even making fun of her. Goddamn.
I'm saying, okay, look, I am not saying, okay, as a mother, I don't know that once I saw the video on the news, I'd call 911. First thing, I would talk to my child.
Okay. All right, now what if you talk to your child and Langston was like, Mama, I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Them motherfuckers is always testing me. You know what I'm saying? I had to go ahead and come up. You know what I'm saying? Or else I wouldn't get respect from Rico and the boys. Rico, I don't know why. I'm sorry, Latinx people. That's
okay, look, I'm not saying that I wouldn't eventually take steps so that he could be held accountable for his crimes. I am not saying that, but I am saying that I'm not sure that I would just, I saw a video, it looked like Langston, and without any other information directly from my child, I'm going to call 911.
Our child is different. What?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Langston's 9.
There's no way.
What if Langston was 20?
Okay. But
he grown. He doing his thing. He out the house. He's running the streets.
Let me be honestly. The only way that he can end up robbing and shooting a motherfucker, from where he at now, is if we fuck up very badly.
Well, I think that's where she's coming from. I think really this whole thing is her taking responsibility for her actions.
That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Deontay. I don't think I'm turning them in like that. I'm just saying there will be motherfucking consequences. There will be consequences. But it's part of my job to already instill that fear of the consequences from me.
Yes.
If he decides to take a gun and do anything. I mean, I already been telling him.
All I'm saying is that if we fail and he calls me from jail talking about I need bail, I'm saying the nigga's gonna sweat a minute. I'm not rushing.
What?
I'm not rushing. There's no way I'm getting out of bed. I'm like, Langston, you know what I told you about the police. You know I told you never to get your ass around the police, okay? I will see your ass on Monday. I'm just saying.
I'm telling everybody right now, we posting bail.
No!
We posting bail.
In the morning.
Hey,
in the morning.
He will go to trial if he gets convicted, if he gets time, all of that. I will put money on his commissary.
My thing is, I'm
posting bail. But am I calling 911 on him? That's not my default.
Listen.
I'm not saying he right. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying he should get off. I'm not saying none of those. I'm saying that I, as his mother, am not calling the police on my job. He gonna have to have a gun to my head or my other son's
But that's
head.
next.
And even then,
you ain't never seen
even
Jungle
then,
Fever?
I'm gonna basically dare that motherfucker to shoot me.
You never seen Jungle Fever?
He gonna have to shoot me.
Mama, I gotta get that clip now. Mama, give me the goddamn money. You know what I'm talking about.
I mean, if he on drugs, he already can't get in the house. That's what I'm saying. There will always be a conversation between me and my child before it gets to that point. If he already running the streets and he robbing folks, I'ma already know. Oh God.
I got
Why you tripping like that? Give me the money. I told you, honey, you won't find no money in that pocketbook. I haven't got any money. Not the kind of money you looking for. $100? Is that all the money you got? Oh my God.
Sweet Jesus.
God bless Ruby D forever.
Oh,
and ever.
wow. I see in Ruby. Oh, my God.
Have you lost your natural mind as well as your soul? Didn't I tell you never to darken my door again?
Never.
Gators leaving. He's got I ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere.
I'll put you out.
Woo! Lord have mercy. Oh, Lord have mercy. Anyway. Oh, man. That's how I'm going to be when Lacey comes down. I'm like, I will put you out. Coming in here dancing, shucking and jiving like some criminal-minded fool. I'm sorry, I got too much.
Are you putting him out or are you calling 911?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Do you got anything else to talk about to the people? What's going on?
Oh, my Lord.
There's so much.
Oh, my God.
I
mean, are we talking about the shootout at the Waffle House?
Damn, we got to talk about this.
This white dude shot up, killed 4 black people.
Jesus.
And then, sure enough, they captured him without killing him.
Very gentle.
There was a bond. Thankfully, it was rejected. So his ass is in jail. A small thing to be thankful for.
The women, it was all black people, if I'm remembering correctly.
And thank goodness there was a hero.
And the girls, though, that were killed were singing gospel songs.
I mean, that don't make no difference.
Before they were I know it don't make no difference. That's why it's so fucking sad. But yes, there was a hero. Was it James Shaw? James Shaw?
Yeah. I believe
James Shaw Jr.
Mm-hmm. He done wrestled the gun away.
Without a gun.
Another AR-15.
He didn't have no gun on him. And he strategized, and he charged the motherfucker like Black Panther. He had the spirit of the heart-shaped herb.
It wasn't a person with a gun who stopped a crazy person with a gun.
Crazy. Who knew you just need heart? Who knew you just needed heart? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like that's the real. I don't want to get on the gun.
And then this motherfucker Trump still ain't said nothing about it.
Hell no, he ain't said nothing. He's not.
Why wouldn't you praise one person who literally saved the lives?
Where's
of
the
other
NRA?
people?
Where's the NRA? Why are they not? Why is this not? Why is the
NRA banning guns at this upcoming rally where Pence is going to be present?
Oh, we can't have no guns around that motherfucker because we might something bad.
They're so goddamn hypocritical.
You know what? I have recently been thinking about the whole idea of being hypocritical, and it's like, really, all we can do is, guys, do not take this election for granted. If you do not get your motherfucking monkey ass out to the polls and vote somebody, I don't care how fucked up the Democrats are. Okay, listen to me right now. It is what it is.
It's a starting point.
Jesus, guys, we just can't do this fucking Bernie Sanders shit again, guys. We can't do this Jill Stein shit, okay? These shades of gray are not translating into anything, okay? You gotta vote fucking fucked up the ass, you know what I'm saying? Or fucking dead. Because that's the only two options.
Either you're looking out for yourself or you think that everybody should have a chance.
Come on,
those
man.
Those are the options.
The Republicans want you dead. They do not give a fuck. The Republicans, the Republicans, basically what they would stand for, and if you haven't figured this shit out yet, is they don't want no government. They don't want no federal government. They're the Confederates. They're the side of the Civil War that lost. They want to dismantle this whole shit that they can get back to whatever the fuck they want to do in Kentucky. All right, and you don't want to have no parts of that. Whatever they want to do in Alabama and shit, wherever the education is like 53rd in the country, you don't want no parts of that shit. Come on, guys, this is not deep shit I'm talking about here, right? So on the other side, you got the Democrats, and they're fucked up. They're flawed. They got problems. But these guys at least believe that we should have a government. They believe that we should actually tax rich people. You know what Apple's doing with their tax windfall?
We should help a majority of people have a decent life.
Jesus, we ain't got to be
Healthcare,
socialists. I'm not even saying,
education.
right, we don't have to be socialists. All we have to do is just share the wealth a little bit. All we have to do is agree that a CEO should make 62 times more than the average employee in his company. We just got to agree that sitting at a fucking desk doesn't mean that much more than being the guy that's moving the boxes at the bottom of Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just have to believe that shit. Just like we believe right now, like the Trumpians, they're having this moment right now. They're having this moment right now where they believe in this strongman shit, and they believe that this one guy can do it. That's what scared me about Bernie. Was all these people, these grown-ass, reasonable people that normally seemed like they made a lot of goddamn sense, all of a sudden, they believe, they believe that Bernie Sanders is like their god and shit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this white daddy syndrome is fucking pathological. That's all I'm saying. And that's kind of cool. And I'm just even with Obama, I don't worship Obama. You know, now that he's not the president anymore, I don't look his ass up at all. I do not follow him. I do not give a fuck what has happened with Obama. Like, I hope he is happy, enjoying his millions. He is a goddamn rich man now. He can do what he wants to do in Richard Branson's island. I do not have an active interest in his life going forward because he is not my hero. He was the president, and while he was the black president, that shit was amazing. And I thank him for that. But now, Trump is the president. So this is the motherfucker I'm paying attention to be honest with you. I
mean, we can't pay no more attention to him than any other, person with a relative amount of power and influence. In that, are they using it for good? Are they using it for the benefit of other people? Or are they just using it to make themselves rich?
Amen to that. Honey, I can't think of a better way to segue into some kind of ending than that. That sounds fantastic.
I know, there's so much we didn't really talk about.
Well, don't worry, because I'm hoping to make us do this again over the weekend, because that is the time that I prefer to do it.
Fun.
It'll be awesome.
Woo! That was a rousing episode.
That was rousing. Let's see if we have any shout-outs, or at least some. I know we got some shout-outs on SoundCloud. You guys are not leaving enough Facebook comments. I know you're listening.
Did people listen to my thing?
They did. A good number of people listened to the thing. I think overall we had 274 listens, which is which is not bad.
There's a comment. What does it say?
There's a comment.
4 people reposted it. Okay.
Kelly said,
"Hey,
yay!"
Thank you, Kelly M. Davis, who said "yay" to my podcast off the page. And thank you to Ebonics, Al Diddy, Crystal Clear, and 2 Squares Podcast for the repost of my podcast off the page with an interview with Nigel Mumin.
Those are the ones I really pay attention to, is the repost. Yes, and thank you guys for reposting episode 89 of Passing the Starbuck. A Speck in Space. Hi, guys. An honest conversation about hip-hop. Sweats and Suits. What's going on? Fish and Grits Podcast. The Podcast Brothers Network. What's up? Terrace Dixon. Hey, man. How you doing?
Thank you.
2-man fast break. Al Diddy, my partner, and We Come From Bad News. 2 Awkward Millennials, the Midwest Coast Podcast, Just Say Words, 2 Squares Podcast, Eddie Bonnis. And guys, as I promise every week, I'm going to reach out to some of you guys. We're going to have you on the podcast at some point. But life always gets in the way. But I really do mean to do it at some point very soon. It's going to be the summer and things get slower in the advertising world. And I am Nyaze and I work in advertising. And that's why I mention that every time I'm on the podcast. But if you want to get at me for some reason, I don't know why, get in my DMs. For some reason, I'm at NYAZE. Just Google that and it's very hard to miss me. That's it. You don't have to like Twitter or specific, just NYAZ. There's like only 2 of me in the whole universe. Mel.
I am on the Twitters at Melissa K, spelled out K-A-Y, says. I'm also on Instagram at Melissa K. Anderson. And, find me, like, whatever it is that you got to do, and follow and all that good things. And I'm personally working on the next interview for Off the Page. So thank you so much for the listens of my inaugural, is that what you call the first one?
The
inaugural
episode.
I'm working very hard to bring you more interviews of artists and their journeys, their process. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for listening to us here at Woke with Kids and all of your love and support. Somehow we keep going.
It's crazy.
And it's only because you guys keep listening.
That's
it's
literally
the only
There's
reason.
literally no other reason. So thank you. All right. Until next time, guys, stay woke.
Peace.
Peace.